that too, because some of you are probably thinking, what makes it a good range? Because maybe this is the first time you watched the live stream by me. I teach that a very low-hanging fruit, very easy objective to strive for as a new student learning what I'm teaching you is to aim for 5 handles. And that's not to say that you would stop at 5 handles and that's going to be the most you can ever do. But for someone that's never done this consistently and is looking for a way to be in here, looking for patterns that repeat, things that build a model that repeat, looking for characteristics in price delivery that repeat, a very small threshold objective of 5 handles is something I believe, and I think when my students go through the process of the things I'm putting you through as teaching, that 5 handles, once you start getting good at finding it, it builds a lot of confidence. And you'll be able to navigate that fear and anxiety about missing things. You won't be afraid of missing moves because there's a lot of opportunities for 5 handles to appear over the course of a full trading day. And you can trade sometimes even outside of the opportune times that I teach. So that being like the kill zones that I teach that are good for the morning session and the afternoon session. You can, if you know what you're doing, you can trade the lunch hour. But you have to understand the rules that go along with that. Because if you don't understand that, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. You can marry the idea that you think you're seeing a specific price run, when in fact the only thing that is really occurring is lunchtime run against the stops and those individuals that have been profitable for the morning session. And they knock them out, and generally sometimes the market will continue. Okay, so let me take your attention back up into that fair value gap I was talking about. And again, please don't read into this like we're not saying look how smart we are, or I'm not saying anything like that. We're just observing in a small range day how there are fluctuations that we can see and we can forecast them, but is there really a trade there that's viable? And what constitutes a reason for me to get into a trade? It has, in my opinion, it has to offer 10 handles. If the framework for the trade offers 10 handles, then you as a student, because the reason why I'm teaching you that is it will give you a little bit of wiggle room, okay, a little bit of cushion for you to not get the best entry and not get the best exit. So it's very forgiving. So as a mentor, I'm trying to teach you how to read where the probabilities are, the time when these patterns form, and how you can align yourself with algorithmic price delivery. But if you can't frame the trade and see it moving potentially 10 handles, and you don't know what you're doing because you're new, chances are it's better for you just to observe it. Don't even press an entry on your demo account. Don't do that. Just observe it, and you'll probably be thankful that you didn't do it. The idea is you want to be able to capture that 5-handle run. So because you're new, and for the folks that know what they're doing, obviously you don't need the 10-handle filter. You can just you want to be able to find your 5 handles wherever you can find them once you know what you're doing, and you can be a little bit more nimble. In the beginning, it's unrealistic for any new student, whether it be mine or someone else is learning whatever they do and teach. It's not realistic for you to think that you're going to be all that nimble, get in near a high and go short and get out at the low. Like that's unrealistic. I don't teach that in my own mentoring, and my students know that. But unfortunately, students many times come to me and they have these unrealistic expectations of themselves. And they want to see themselves do Olympic-size feats, trade exceptionally well, no losses if next to none, and have very, very ultra short, small stop losses and big R multiples. Like that's the flavor in the last couple of years is everybody's trying to market this idea of having really, really small stop losses and big wins. And to me, I don't think that's something that a new trader should strive for, because number one, it's impractical. You're not going to be able to do that. And to get to that level of being consistent, it takes a long time. And many of you don't have the patience to even do the certain drills and things that I teach that are simple. If you can't exercise discipline and self-control there, how could you reasonably expect as a new student or a new trader to trade with a very small stop loss and have these high multiples? Because you don't know how to hold on to a winning trade's hard to hold on to even when you're new, because you see the profit because that's what you're going to be watching instead of price. You'll be watching that number fluctuate up and down and regretting that you didn't close the trade when it was up 1,000 and now it's only up $850. Then it drops to $750, and then you're only up to $700, and then you close the trade because you think it's reversed on you, and then it runs to $2,800 or whatever it is. You're going to not have rolls. You're not going to have any experience. So that's the reason why I teach to start with 5 handles. Not that that's going to be the end of your career in terms of the height. That's not the zenith. Okay, that's not the apex point of your proficiency. It just means that I'm giving you what I believe, in my opinion, and most of my students would agree that that's a good baseline to start with. I don't think 10 handles is for ES because it takes a little bit more filtering out to find that full 10 handles. But I think that you should try to look for a price move that offers that 10 handles in the beginning, because it is allowing you a lot of forgiveness in entering a little too early, a little too late, and getting out maybe at the most, unlikely location. So how would that look for this? Well, if we were looking at this fair value gap here, okay, using this candle's high, and you're going to look up here, by the way, up the left-hand corner, that value right there. That price high comes in at 41.36 and a quarter. Okay, so 36 and a quarter. Let me just round it down. So 36 and a quarter. We need to get to 31 and a half. And I use that quarter point that would cover commissions. Maybe not with your broker, but that's how I look at it. So whenever I look for it, I'm looking for five and a quarter handles. So from here, if it trades that price level right here on this candle, let me show you where my cursor is. Going straight down to that one right there. Okay, that candle, as soon as it trades into that price of the previous candle's high, you're inside that fair value gap. So you're inside the city. So that's where I teach my students to try to aim for, because you need to learn how to hold on to a trade while it's going a little bit against you in drawdown. That's not something you should be shying away from. It's not something you should be trying to avoid, because you're going to have that happen. Your trades are not going to be from your entry running into profit. It doesn't work that way. Okay, sometimes, maybe a lot of times when you first start doing this, you're going to feel that, and it's going to cause you to have a lot of uncertainty and doubts, and you need to grow through all that. It's very, very important to go through it and not try to hide it. Okay, not try to hide from it. But if we went short here at that 36 and a quarter, okay, getting down to this low over here, which is at 41.32 and 3/4, that doesn't even offer 5 handles. So while that was there, and it did trade down to the low end of that 5-minute fair value gap and stopped dead in its tracks, did it deliver a run into the sell side? No. So having a filter, looking for your setups to pan out in the context that it's likely to move 10 handles. All I'm trying to do is get 5 of it. All I'm trying to do is get 5. So it allows forgiveness. But more importantly, this is what you need to understand. By having this filter, it removes the likelihood of you doing a trade that's not likely to pan out. If your targets don't even offer the opportunity to get the 10 handles, not that you're going to get the full 10 handles, but if it can't offer the 10 in the framework of the trade. And what I mean by that is, we've seen the fair value gap. I drew your attention to it here when we dropped down into this 1 minute chart. I said, okay, maybe we'll see this fair value gap. It went up, colored outside the lines of it, hit the last up closed candle, traded down to the low of the fair value gap low on the 5-minute chart. Did not trade to the sell side. So by having the 10 handle filter, if you would have taken this trade here and didn't take anything below that low here as a partial, it's running against you now. Either has stopped you out or most likely will stop you out. So you have to have these protocols in place, not because you want to paint yourself into a small box where you can't do much, but you have to have rules. And that's what makes this business very difficult, because a lot of people don't like to be told what to do. And a lot of people don't have discipline. They don't have self-control. So that's why individuals that go into this industry without those characteristics in themselves, they will lose. And they take that loss and they'll attribute to something else outside of them. It's the method. It's flawed. The logic doesn't work. It's fake. It's a scam. The scammer guy taught me something doesn't work. And it's just them kind of trying to cope with their inability to be disciplined, their inability to have self-control. So my point in saying all this is there's fluctuations that you're going to see in price action. And you might be able to forecast how it's moving from one reference point to another. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's something that you should be trading. And I get many times, there's a lot of new students that come to me, and I've had them come in the way of a paid membership student too. They come in and they think, hey, why didn't you take that as a trade? Because it doesn't meet the criteria that I have. I have expectations that I'm looking for in a trade.